What have we
So
got to
fuck
lose?
them, Get out there and do something. You know,
it's so hard for people to believe this sort of shit when they're in this little fucking bubble wrap society in Australia and they don't look outside Channel 7, 9 or 10, man. Like, this news is just so fucking...
Well...
It's just propagated. It's like, it's propaganda.
The TV's
it's
shocking.
Crap. And it's actually a lack of propaganda.
Okay, here's another recommendation. Turn off your TV.
Yeah.
Really have a close look at your diet. Reduce sugar. Reduce your artificial stuff.
Don't want to remember that.
And, try and get much vitamins and minerals. If you can take supplements, get vegetables. Make sure you're doing exercise. Make sure you're learning about how the world works, and make sure you're with your neighbours. Take the opportunity when you're walking past them, because they are feeling as uncomfortable as you. Smile at them and say hello. Hey, how are you doing?
Definitely.
Always
say hello to people I walk down the street, and they look at me like I'm a freak.
Yeah. No, I do say I think it's because I'm so tall. People are like, eep, and but like I try to say hello and smile at people, and people get confused. They're why is this person being nice to me? And you're like, well, because I'm in a happy mood and I just want to express something.
And try and be nice to them and see what you can do to be nice. It's this community. It's a human thing. We have to learn to be what we're supposed to be. We've been taught to be this artificial, commercial construct, and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Strip it away. And do what makes you uncomfortable, but engage into your community. Be happy, be smiling, engage, create thoughts, create thought problems. Oh my God, they're coming to get us. You know what? They are.
The thought police.
They are. And they know who you are. They know your mobile phone number. They know your GPS location. They know your search location. Yeah. They know your transaction history, your Google search history. They know everything that you've ever done on a computer. It's all been database, tracked dates. It is. And the thing is, when we stop saying, oh, we're fearing that, we're scared because you got that information, they should be scared because they've got that information. Yes, and that's how we need to look at it. Definitely. They're criminals, they've broken the law, and we're going to hold them to account.
I've got my own little theory of how you can give people a key to open the door. And I believe that key is if you question the fundamental belief that everyone is brought up with in their life. And that fundamental belief itself is the economic system. If you question that, if you come to the point of questioning, going, hold on,
no one questions that.
No one.
Here's a fact for you, right? A fact. The Federal Reserve Bank of America, which is the central bank of America, is privately owned and run for profit. That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's all. That's all you need to know. Think about it. No. We're playing Monopoly, but they own the bank. Oh, hang on. Oh, what?
Yeah.
What? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, they own the bank. Yeah.
But I think you're right, Sean. If you get to a point where you actually can question that and considering that the money system may not be the only way to look at things,
up to be.
Then I think that's a really big time when you
and believe me, there are other solutions out there to trading with money.
There's quite a few.
Yeah, there are other
Bitcoin, gold and silver.
Absolutely.
There's things
time trading.
I
love also the idea of how
resource-based economy,
currency of trust and reputation as well.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting when humanity finally gets a choice on how these things might come together.
Yeah, because we're every day is so dependent on everything that we've got here. It's so hard to give yourself that chance to even try and rebel because you need to go and buy petrol to drive to work to get money.
But isn't it the most exciting and riveting and exhilarating experience to know that your life doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be mundane. Yeah. You are in the middle of the most amazing matrix and life experience that could ever happen. Absolutely. You're at the crossroads of history. You have an ability to stamp your foot on the ground and say, this is the moment where you remembered my name because I stood up. Could you wish for more?
No.
Could you dream for more? Could you ask God, please beam me into a reality that matters?
Yeah. And
That
you
could
can
be
do it.
any
As
more
a rebel
You
at
can
the
make it
core,
yourself.
that this is
So-
my world.
It's just like the famous Bill Hicks says, it's only a choice, you know, between fear and love. You can,
Life is just a ride.
That's right. It's just a ride between fear and love. You can, you know, choose fear, put locks on your doors, and hate your neighbour. You can choose love, and then we can get all the money
Love
we
is
spend
what's
on the
gonna
military
save us. Love is
budget
what we have and what they don't.
Okay, well, this is perhaps
and travel to space.
perhaps
I
a
wanna go to
postscript from me. I have, in my privileged experience, and in the last few years, met a lot of people who are really more enlightened and more
Yeah.
connected, and they are connected with love, and even for
Yeah.
our enemy. And I sit there before these people in awe
Yeah.
at how they can perceive these things and how they can come to terms with these things, and their spiritual connection and output is just at a far more significant level. And the fact is that we can't attack these people and hate these people who have oppressed us and done so much damage to us over such a long time. We can't do what they've done to us.
No.
No
It
way.
is not
It's not in our nature.
It's not the enlightened way forward.
No.
And I think that's the interesting thing, is to listen to those people who talk about how we can deal with these
damaged people.
damaged and unacceptable behaviours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
How do we deal with that? And I think that's an interesting conversation. And there's many interesting conversations about the future and how money might work and society might work.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that humanity, for the first time ever, will actually have that conversation.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think the internet's going to empower it and make it happen. You know, imagine a wiki of
Future ideas.
global democracy wiki. You know, it's everywhere. It's about democracy. It's about everyone contributing to ideas, about solving problems. You can
Absolutely.
just imagine
Yeah.
the power of that collective consciousness
That's
and
right.
knowledge coming together to create the most amazing things that have never ever before been conceptualized.
Yeah.
So don't be shut down. Lenin said, you know, there's 1,000 ways humanity may develop, but they must never be allowed to know that.
Yeah, definitely.
Wait, I just really
But-
want to talk about chemtrails. Please.
I think this is a general.
Can you
I'd like to
tell
talk.
us?
Well, I got in this massive, long-winded fucking blogging battle. Well, it was only a Facebook fucking status update, and it turned into a blogging battle
With
with
a
my
scientist.
mate, with
a scientist.
with a scientist.
That's,
but not-
that's a wonderful thing, Facebook, in
Right,
terms
yeah,
of
well,
engaging your fellow humans.
Mate,
and,
there was some fucking. I'll show you pictures on my phone later.
I-
Just over here, this plane, man, and
know.
it was like
I know.
sprouting
I
shit,
know.
and it was everywhere. He lives in West Melbourne,
know.
so we would have seen it probably.
know.
Yeah, and I was like, took a picture of it, posted it, and then you know, I'm getting some serious flack. Oh, it's a contra. You don't know what you're talking about. You fucking conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. Okay. So, for those who don't know, chemtrails
People spraying our air.
a chemical sprayed out of a plane. A contrail is a chemical reaction between the exhaust out of the jet and the atmosphere, which basically forms ice crystals, which over a period of time, which is a very relatively short period of time, they'll melt in the sun, in the atmosphere. So you've got the ice crystals that you'll see as a white trail, and it will melt into nothingness and it will disappear
Fairly
after a
fast.
period of
There are
time.
some
Couple
amazing
seconds
images.
before-
And you've all seen that in your life. Now, if you care to observe a chemtrail, you'll notice that it's the same kind of thing, where it's a plane sprouting out a pipeline of white mist, and rather than evaporate over time, basically that mist disperses and you can watch it, and it forms a kind of a cloud, and it turns into this murk, in terms of a white murk, and basically they put it in front of clouds. It's part of a geostrategic, engineering project to try and affect the atmosphere to protect against global warming, which is, we know, is a farce, but they stick the planes in the sky anyway the
So it's got to have some other reason.
it's got multiple reasons.
Yeah, I know.
Is it to combine with the fluoride in the water and create poison?
That's my thing. That's my thing.
Is it anything to do with that?
We're talking about one of those challenging situations where
it's getting too far down the rabbit hole.
No, well, we potentially don't have the mind power to keep up with the evil geniuses and how they're combining their weapons to offend against us. But we know about HARP and we know about chemtrails. We know that they're together. We know that the chemicals that come out of chemtrails, we've observed it across the world. There's an outcry. It's been admitted by government scientists. It's been admitted by
Sweden. Didn't
the Swedish opposition parliamentarian raised it in the Parliament that there's chemtrails taking place over the country and these things should be regulated and discussed, and obviously they should, because basically let's talk about the previous awesome historical record of governments pumping chemicals into the environment with a life-giving and enhancing effect, and the fact is they've never done it. To a life-giving and enhancing effect, and they're claiming to do it this time, but realistically they're not, because they're criminals and they need to be arrested. And
I would love to have someone answer for me why there is chemicals being sprayed in my air on behalf of me.
Because
I think that's something that should be brought to the table to be discussed.
How would this be a good thing?
But then we've got the good reason, the real reason. So the good reason, this is Masonic, so the good reason is, we're saving the atmosphere. The real reason is they're terraforming the atmosphere. And this comes back to the question, are they alien, devil worshippers, or purely evil? Either way, they're acting like the vanguard of an alien invasion.
They are. Absolutely.
Well, isn't there a theory that the aliens that come down here to alter our atmosphere and take it away for themselves?
There's plenty.
Isn't that one?
To be honest, if you want my opinion, and my opinion is very lowly, I've yet to see anything around aliens or UFO that is mildly convincing. So I've seen a lot. Do
you mean the presence of?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just doesn't stack up at all. When I was a child,
I'm so disappointed. I really like aliens.
When I was a child, when I was 8 or 9, my parents bought me actually it was an industrial magazine called Warplane. It was about military aircraft.
Yeah.
And they talked about, in those magazines, an Aurora aircraft, which was to replace the SR-71. It was triangular in shape. It had beyond the characteristics of an SR-71, which would describe pretty much largely what most UFO people claim to see, which is a triangular shaped object moving at ridiculous speeds and in ridiculous ways. And this was talked about in warplane industry magazines that I was reading in the late or in the 80s as a child.
Yeah.
So, I'm just thinking UFO, but you're crazy. It's just like,
I think you never let us down.
We're just talking about slightly different things, I think.
Have you heard did you see, though, the conference in 2010 in Washington with all the ex-military and, don't know, people in that area who had been involved in UFO sites, and because they actually had a conference on it, and they all stood up there and told us about their experience.
If I'd dine for every time I read something about someone who said they'd been to some satanic ceremony, or had been into an underground base, or was privy to some secret meeting somewhere that did this or did that. There's so much hearsay.
Yeah,
and this is where I think it's interesting, and it's very difficult for someone who's new to the field to sit there and say what is true. But what's got to happen is, when you understand any information or take it on, you need to know the source. You need to think about the motivation of the source.
Yeah.
You need to understand how this fits into a bigger picture. Because if someone's saying, okay, here's some information, it's like a million-piece puzzle.